The receipts are starting to come in from a disastrous 2024 in the gaming industry. And, well, Ubisoft, not exactly doing that great. But I know you didn't really need an official statement from any of the higher-ups in order to come to that conclusion. I mean, let's run down the list of failures, shall we? Skull and Bones at the beginning of the year, followed up by X-Defiant, all of which have closed up. And then you got Star Wars Outlaws. And then, thankfully, they decided to push off Assassin's Creed Shadows until March 20th this year to try to mitigate as much damage as possible. It was tough for them, and specifically in the third quarter, where all they had to do was admit the failure that Outlaws was, try to repackage it for Steam, and for it to do absolutely nothing. But hey, if you want to play Shadows and you want early access and you want first DLC for quote-unquote free, make sure to pre-order the deluxe or the gold edition, or sign up for Ubisoft. I don't know, man. But anyways, Ubisoft reveals net bookings declined over 50% in third quarter compared to last year. Wow, that's really not good for a studio that is on the brink of collapse. Ubisoft shared its third quarter results and revealed that its net bookings declined by over 50% compared to the same time period last year. In its third quarter 24-25 sales document, Ubisoft shared the net bookings stood at 301.8 million euros in quarter three, in line with the revised expectations. Those revised expectations were lowered nearly 20%. Oh shit, so they were dropped, and then it's like, no, everything's fine, I guess. In a press release in January, where the company stated third quarter of the financial year 24-25 net bookings are now expected at around $300 million. Oh, okay, cool. So they're in line with what we had. See, actually, we exceeded expectations because we thought it would be 300, and it ended up being 30, just about 302. Oh my god. See, we're back in the black. Okay, we're a profitable company. Somebody please come in and buy us and save us from the failings of our own decisions. Primarily reflecting lower than expected holiday sales. Oh, really? Mainly for Star Wars Outlaws, as well as the discontinuation of X-Defiant. Yeah, buy our game. This is not going to be supported come May. And hey, Matt, we actually fixed this pile of shit that still to this very day has outstanding rewards for side quests that nobody has even bothered to try and find. Like, imagine that, right? Like, you have people, okay, even though he doesn't make the videos anymore because he's undergoing, oh my god, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but you have the completionist out there getting audited by the IRS. Bro, I understand, you know, that's very taxing, but you have, you know, just recreational completionists that are out there that couldn't even be bothered with Star Wars Outlaws. That's wild. That is wild. In its second quarter, Ubisoft had shared that it was expecting net bookings of the third quarter of 24-25 to come in at approximately $380 million. And that would have been before, right? Because that was in the second quarter report. So that was before they delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows. So were they really not expecting that much out of this game? That's strange. Compared to the previous year, net bookings are down over 50%. In its third quarter last year, the company had net bookings of $626.2 million, a decline, million euros, sorry, at the proper denomination. That's a decline of, 51.8%. So yeah, if we're feeling rowdy, we can go ahead and round that up to a nice, sweet 52%. What a drop-off. You lost over half since last year. And what were the titles bolstering them? That's kind of crazy. Despite the massive decline in net bookings, Ubisoft believes the company is still on track to achieve a net booking of around 1.9 billion euros for the entire year. Fucking how? The company shared, together with a solid back catalog and expected material partnerships. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, we expect to be bought out. So don't worry, guys. We're going to turn a profit. Don't worry, shareholders. Don't drop the stock any further. Fourth quarter net bookings are planned to grow year on year thanks to Assassin's Creed Shadows release. Yes, getting in just before the final quarter of the financial year for 2024, because that should be, what is it? Normally at the end of March, or the end of April. So yeah, they'll be able to try to bolster stuff a little bit. At that point, it shared the pre-orders are tracking similarly to Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Interesting, right? But yeah, you get reports like this where, yeah, I know we're down and shit like that, but we're anticipating things are going to be good, and we're going to be using some of our damaged back catalog, picture totally unrelated, and our bottom line's definitely going to be bolstered by arguably one of the most controversial games to come out in previous years. Yeah, no, things are really set to turn around, but you compare and contrast that with an indie game that's out there, an indie studio, or not quite indie, right? I guess double A, or PlayStation affiliated. No, okay. Shift Up has posted a record revenue and profit. Financial year 2024, $151.4 million, up 30.4% year over year, $102.3 million, up 33.8% operating profit, and $98.2 million up in net profit. So yeah, so the house that brought you Stellar Blade last year and is set to release a PC port in very short order. I thought it was supposed to already come out by this point in time, but no, I guess it's still on its way. And yeah, that'll be interesting to track because, oh boy, if there's ever been a mod bait game to come out, yeah, it's definitely that one. So yeah, that's normally the type of healthy reporting you would want to see coming out of a game studio, and especially one that had, yeah, the relative success of Stellar Blade, which we don't know specifically how many units it shipped, but at the end of the year sales totals, Stellar Blade was nowhere on there. It was a good enough success for them where they can go ahead and report overall growth on the year. But like I said before, and I missed out a couple of releases as well. You had Ubisoft with a full slate of games, and it sunk like a stone. But that's fine, right? Looking forward to the future, you can play Assassin's Creed Shadows, and don't worry, guys. If you just simply want to buy it as a show of good faith, or I don't know, maybe paying it forward to a developer in need, you don't worry about missing out if they largely ignore one of the protagonists. I beg your pardon. So yeah, if you just barely play the game, you might actually like it. Kind of a damning admission there, don't you think? Ubisoft has assured that Assassin's Creed Shadows players who largely ignore one of the dual protagonists won't be missing out. Which one are we talking about here? The one that you're trying to minimize? Maybe there's some legitimacy to that leak out there, where the delay, or one of the delays, was largely in part to trying to minimize the inclusion and the prominence of Yasuke. Creative director Jonathan Dumont told Screen Rant at Assassin's Creed Shadows won't force players to play as both the stealthy Naoi and the brutish Yasuke. Brutish? What are you trying to say? He's brutish. The equal measure. When it arrives March 20th, nor will it lock off certain parts of the games to those who prefer one over the other. Yeah, heaven forbid, you have proper narratives and shit that makes sense for specific characters based on their attributes. No. The slop must flow. Oh my god, just game design has completely tanked in the past 10 to 20 years. I don't think you're missing out on too much. I think it's more on your preference to say, okay, let's see how the game will adapt a little bit to this character. If you choose one over the other, they get individual introductions and they get their own quest line. Also, let's say for Naoi, a personal quest line cannot be played by Yasuke. And those are two distinct things. Yeah, obviously. But how many of those individualized missions are there going to be throughout the story? I wonder. But the core of the game, you can pick your character and the game adapts. Oh, that's so fantastic, right? Because it'll be very interesting, right? Because of the different quote-unquote playstyles that you have with a much more brutish Yasuke. I wonder if he's going to be allowed to go in and destroy ancient Japanese shrines, or if Naoi's going to be allowed to sneak her way in. But there's apparently one that's out there that just doesn't want to be included at all anymore, because yeah, there was just way too much bad faith. Once again, Japanese shrine demands removal from Assassin's Creed Shadows after Ubisoft depicts its destruction. Yeah, no, they put up gameplay where you had Yasuke run through an actual historical temple, okay, and just had him mess the place totally up. You guys were already in hot water last year with the Japanese government. Why wouldn't you think, okay, with the microscope that is on top of this game, why wouldn't you think going in and destroying or desecrating historical sites like your Johnny fucking Somali, you didn't think that would be the best course of action? Like, we can deduce that you're stupid from your earnings reports, but are you actually that dumb? I'm starting to think, okay, that the incompetence goes far beyond the inexperienced development room. Like, this is a Ubisoft problem, whole stop. Ubisoft has landed in yet another controversy as the Itate Hyozu Jinja shrine, I'm sure I pronounced that perfectly, in Japan has formally requested the removal of its sacred site from Assassin's Creed Shadows. The demand comes after recently released gameplay footage revealed that the game allows players to enter the shrine, an active place of worship, and destroy its interior, including smashing items and even demolishing the temple's altar, which is so wild, right? Because there's another game that's out right now that is still doing exceptionally well, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, right? Where they just decided to, or apparently they were short on time and didn't have enough time to develop them. But in the first game, okay, in the original that came out few years back, you could go into different places of worship. You can go into different churches and take a look around, obviously. Like, that was pretty cool. A neat little inclusion into the game, but you couldn't do that the second time around. That was a little bit odd, I suppose, but I guess because they were focusing on other things that ends up taking a bulk of the development time. But when you're doing something that is so historically accurate, according to Ubisoft, as depicting, a feudal Japanese setting, having shrines readily available and accessible and being respectful in those, that would be fairly accurate to the time. But no, Yasuke is going to Yasuke, and it doesn't matter what age and what year it is. You know what they're going to do, right? Mark Kearns Grums, former World of Warcraft lead and gaming industry veteran, relayed the reaction of those connected to the shrine. My local source confirms the Jinja shrine. There you go. Maha Jinja. In Japan, has filed a formal request to Ubisoft asking them to remove the entire religious site from Shadows. My source tells me that the temple leaders are very upset at the use of their shrine and their ability to destroy the interior. Well, yeah, exactly. The latest blunder adds to a growing list of cultural missteps that have plagued Shadows since its announcement. Ubisoft has repeatedly claimed that they conducted extensive research on Japanese history and culture, hiring so-called experts to ensure authenticity. And yeah, man, like the ones that immediately come to mind, stealing, the Ryogoku rifle troops banner and not properly crediting them, and then once the troop brought that to their attention, they said, oh no, don't worry, we'll just get rid of it from all of the marketing. And then they ended up getting caught once again, still including the banners. At, I think it was a Paris Gaming Festival or something like that. They had cheap looking props that you could get. It was like there was a one-piece prop that they were trying to shill off and pass off as a historical Japanese artifact that they could use for reference in the game. Like, this has been a total disaster, and for Ubisoft to think that this is going to be the one thing that is going to stave them off from bankruptcy and really turn things around, I mean, we thought that they were delusional to begin with. We assumed that they're stupid as opposed to malicious, but maybe these just really are malicious retards at the end of the day. Who knows, man? We're still a month out from release, and it's just, it's not going to slow down until then. And then after release, yeah, this one's going to be one where we're going to be talking about it for a minute. So with all that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.